about to leave, already packing. Come with me, I'm not really asking. We'll get away to a place where we don't know. About to see the world in action, what we can be, life with no distractions. We'll get away, this is what we waited for. Take my hand, we'll make it somehow. We can't miss out. I'm done living life with the lights out, die with my own doubts. Be free with me. Let's go, let's be free with Not looking back, eyes on the freeway, Bonnie and Clyde, a classic cliche. We're on the run, this is what we waited for. Take my hand, we'll make it somehow. We can't miss out. I'm done living life with the lights out, die with my own doubts. Be free.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's Jim here at Tutor to You for the latest in our live A-level sociology sessions. This one's on theory and debates. So I was thinking, who could we get to lead this session? Perhaps two really leading lights in sociological theory. Let's go over and see who we've got. Oh, sorry, they couldn't come. So instead, we've got Duncan and Craig. How you doing, guys?
Very well, thank you.
Yeah,
Hi,
good.
Jim.
As always, bigging you up, Dunks.
Hello.
Well, here we go again. Can you believe it's a week since our last session?
It's flown by, hasn't it? It's flown by. Feels like yesterday.
Hang on, it was yesterday.
Days ago. But...
Well, thanks for joining us. And I know we've got actually a lot to get through on this session on theory and debate. So who wants to give us a flavour as to what we're going to be doing? Dunks, do you want to do it this time?
Yeah, sure. So coming up over the next half hour, we've got a number of activities. We'll start with some MCQs, and then we've got some other activities as well. We'd really like you to engage and get involved, and you can do that via the chat window. Those of you who haven't joined us before, although I'm recognising lots of familiar names, it's great to see you back. So, for example, if it's an MCQ, it might be A or B or A, B, C or D. If you could type that in the chat window. Some of the other activities, you might have to type out the answers. We'll explain when we get to those activities. And I think we'll make a start, and we'll get straight off with some MCQs to start with. Obviously, we're looking at some of the stuff we're doing today is quite complicated and conceptual, so it'll be, don't worry if some of it's difficult. That's part of the point of it, isn't it? To learn something as well as to revise something. So what perspective is Antonio Gramsci most associated with? Is it neo-Marxism or interactionism? So we've just got A's or B's today. So let's see, A or B. Is it neo-Marxism or interactionism? Seeing a few answers starting to come in. Oh, lots and lots of A's. Let's have a look to the next one, who's an Italian Marxist from the 1920s and 30s. Wrote a lot in prison. Okay, what sort of reasoning did Karl Popper suggest scientists should use? Was it A, deductive reasoning, or B, inductive reasoning? Deductive or inductive? So if you've recognized this, it will be from the sort of sociology as a science debate. Some of you might not know it. Yeah, that's one for the blooper reel when we do it. Okay, how are we doing? What do we think? A or B? A mixture coming through. Fewer, mainly more A's or B's. He talks about falsification, Emily. You're right, he did, and that might help you with which one of these might be referring to falsification. Lots of people saying A, and you are correct. It is deductive reasoning. Well done. So inductive reasoning would be trying to find evidence to prove your theory right. Deductive reasoning would be trying to find evidence to prove your theory wrong. And if you can't, then it's the best theory that you have. You would come across Popper in the second year, Kieran, yeah, but don't worry. I'm sure there'll be plenty on here you can engage with as well if you're a first year student. Okay, next question. So this also relates to what we've just been talking about. What analogy is sometimes used to illustrate this? Is it the black swan analogy or the pink elephant analogy? What do we think? Black swan or pink elephant? Bethany's gone with A, Abigail A. Yeah, lots of A's coming through. Shall we have a look? No one fancies it being a pink elephant one. Well done. It is the black swan. It's the idea that if you were trying to test the theory that all swans were white, if you just went out and saw lots and lots of white swans, you'd think you've got a lot of evidence to prove your theory right, but you only had to find one black swan to prove that the theory was incorrect. So that's the deductive falsification rather than inductive. Okay, so moving on, we're going to do something called a connection wall. And I think everyone will be able to join in with this, whether year 12 or year 13, have a look at some names that are going to come up on our connection wall. And what we've got to try and do is put them into 4 groups of 4. So first of all, I'd suggest trying to find the 4 categories. What might the 4 categories be? And then work out which 4 people fit into each category. I'll give you a minute just to have a look at the grid and see if you can work out the categories yourself, thinking theory. Yeah. And I can give you some hints if not, but let's see. What have we got in terms of categories? A couple of people are late because of the traffic. I understand that. Yeah. Okay. Any ideas? We spotted any of the categories? We just got lots of names, 16 names. Oakley, Haydn's Own of Feminism, Abigail. They are, yeah. Oh, Lauren suggested functionalist, Marxist, feminist, and something else. You're right. It is functionalist, Marxist, feminist, and something else. And Danielle's put Parsons, Merton, Durkheim, Davison, Moore for functionalism. Should we see if that's right? Because that'll probably help once there are fewer names to look at. Yeah, well done. So now we need to try and work out perhaps who the Marxists are, shall we? Should we have a go at who the Marxists are? Emily, a few people are saying iridescent youth official who said that she's a big fan. He or she's a big fan. Saying interactionism. A few other people saying interactionism. That is what the 4th category is. So well done. So we know what our categories are now. Who are our Marx ones? So a few people have started bringing those out. Marx, Bowles and Ginter, Althuser. Who else? Not Becker. Could be. It was Marxists and neo-Marxists. Yeah, there you go, Abigail Gramsci. Okay, so shall we have a look at our Marxists? Well done. So we've got, earlier on, people worked out that it was feminists and interactionists left. So shall we have a look at those? Who do we think? Should we go for the feminists next? Who do we think the feminists are? I think someone earlier got a few of them. Someone said Oakley and Haydn's Own earlier, didn't they? Should we find another 2? Oh, well done, Sharp. Yeah, absolutely, Sue Sharp. It's a feminist. one more on there. Oh, Emily's got another feminist there. Anyone else got? And yeah, Iridescent Youth Official's got another feminist too. So Wolby, well done. So I think we've got all our feminists there. So we're left with the last four: Becker, Bloomer, Mead, and Goffman. And we earlier noticed that they were interactionists. So I think we have solved the wall, which is very good. Well done. Those of you who don't recognise some of the names, I mean, I'm sure people like Davison, Moore, Bolton, Gintis, Marks, and Parsons and Oakley will be familiar. Some of the others, Becker probably from first year. Some of the others you might be more likely to encounter in the second year. Okay, shall we move on now to activity with Craig? I'll hand over to Craig.
Yeah, thanks, Duncan. Really good. Some really good responses there, particularly with that connection walls. Like, there's a lot of different theories that you can use in sort of like some of those big 20-mark questions that you might get on theory and methods. You know, so like with Marxism, the usefulness of Marxism, usefulness of functionalism, usefulness of interactionism, and so on. But I'm going to do something sort of like this. It's a little bit harder. So some of you who haven't touched on this yet this may be something sort of like you want to have a look at again. We're going to do a categorized activity where there are 8 terms at the bottom of the page. The clock will tick and you need to organize those 8 categories inside of 60 seconds into you need to categorize those 8 items into one of 3 categories. So they're all key terms or key ideas that are associated with either structural theories, social action theories, or structuration. So this is very much in the year 13, but there are some concepts, particularly within structural theories, that you may be more aware of for the year 12s. So if we organize those into structural theories, social action theories, and structuration, on the right-hand side, if you just want to write structural and the numbers of the key terms, and then in the middle, you know, sort of like obviously social action, then the numbers, and then structuration in the chat column as well. Okay, so if we could start, please. Oh, there we go. Bit of music. Hello, Logan.
There's a lot of tension at this point, isn't there, with the music?
There is.
Feels like we're starting to plate up.
So we've got Bethany, positivism for Greg. Oh, what's that program? MasterChef.
Yeah, don't worry about it. We had some answers. Sorry, I was interrupting. Yeah.
Okay, Iridescent Youth has said structural fire. 5, 3, and 6. Meta-narratives, positivism, and role of socialization. Yeah, good. Sarah says you can't see the words properly. Iridescent Youth, who's been mentioned quite a few times since he said he was a fan, or she was a fan. Social Action 1, 4, 8, and 7. Okay, good. Social Action Theories 1 and 6. Okay, so there's quite a few different responses there. Let's have a look at the correct responses. So within our structural theories, we have the role of socialization. Of course, structural theories tend to be those that believe that social forces will impact an individual's behavior. So our role of socialization is discussed in things like functionalism, Marxism, and kind of very much structural feminism, the idea that we are socialized into different roles in society. Obviously, structural theories also look at meta-narratives, this kind of big picture, this formulaic view of sort of like society that we all fit into this large narrative. And structural theories also tend to use positivist methodology that's in there as well. Social action theories, well, we went with impression management. Obviously a term that sort of like sometimes linked into things like the Hawthorne effect. It's the way in which we change our behavior to suit an audience. We have reflexivity and indexicality in there as well. Reflexivity, obviously the ability to sort of like reflect upon our behaviors. And indexicality is this common sense kind of view of the world. And then ethnomethodology, which is a form of sociological thought associated with social action theories and a form of methodology looking at the study of people. And then our final idea, which links into Giddens' idea of structuration, is the duality of structure. And this is the idea that that structures are shaped by individuals, and structures then shape the behavior of individuals. So they need to both exist together.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, so now we move on to Duncan's section. Sorry, 30-second challenge.
That's all right. Just think with the structuration, because it might be a new term for a lot of people. It's a good halfway house really between that action or structure and action debate. You can say, well, actually, maybe it's both. Yeah. Okay. So
I was going to say, it's a nice, if you get an essay on sort of like the idea of which are better suited to modern society, structural or social action, bringing structuration in as a kind of point towards the end is a really good way to impress examiners, I think.
Absolutely. And you can mention Giddens. It doesn't get mentioned enough. Right. Okay, let's have a look at our first 30-second challenge. So you'll get 30 seconds to come up with some ideas. There's a question, but there's not just one answer to the question. It's asking for you to suggest a few ideas. Let's have a look at the first one. We've got a few of these. Which people are involved in the sociology as a science debate? So it's a nice, broad, open-ended question. The sociology as a science debate, which not necessarily everyone's looked at, but certainly some of you have, because people were talking about Popper and falsification and things. I've given you one name. So can you suggest some names? Chelsea said Durkheim, absolutely. Kuhn, yeah, Lombroso, Popper, Kuhn, Durkheim. Yeah. Coming up with lots of similar names to Weekend Comte. Well done. Very good. Okay, you came up with a lot of similar names to me. You came up with some other ones as well, but we've got Comte, Durkheim, Popper, Kuhn, Uri. You could talk about, you could bring some postmodernism in there as well. You could bring and Lyotard, etc. Lots of good suggestions there. Loads of them, people coming up with some in the chat window. Obviously there are lots of names you could bring in to an essay on that or a debate.
Sorry,
on that.
I just saw Bethany's correction there. I was thinking about the sociologist Batman for a minute there. But it's obviously Bauman.
Bauman, yeah, absolutely, yeah. Again, Sayer, yeah. Okay, shall we have a look at the next one? So, thinking about that debate a bit then, in what ways is sociology like a science? Can you suggest some ways in which sociology might be scientific? Okay, let's start the timer. What do we reckon? Typing. Stability of objectivity, use of objective methods, some methods like experiments, yeah. Now we assessed, uses verification like natural scientists, produces quantitative data, falsifiability, analyzing society. Okay, lots of suggestions there. Lots of them similar to what I suggested. We might test hypotheses. We might use reliable methods, and people are putting more on that in the chat window about positivists using those sorts of methods, replicable experiments. Sociologists get their research peer reviewed before they publish it in the same way that scientists might. Okay, and then the inevitable next question really is, in what ways is sociology not like a science? Okay, Luke's just learnt this today, so this is good, isn't it? Okay. What ways is it not like a science? Emily's asking if we'll be moving these to a later time once the schools go back. We're going to have a chat about that. We're certainly going to keep doing them, so we'll try and work out the best time for you.
I have to be in bed by 6 o'clock.
Okay, subjective, qualitative methods. People use free will. Personal interpretivists saying it's issues about values. Actually, the value freedom debate. I mean, I think we'll hear more about that in a bit. But issues about values could well be relating to that. Paradigms and subjectivity. Verstehen, loads of stuff. We don't blow things up, Kieran. You're right. That's true. Well, I mean, not deliberately anyway. And then we've got so it's subjective. We can't control the variables because of it's not a closed system. There's no unifying paradigm. Someone mentioned paradigms, but loads of other good points coming up there as well. Some very complete answers, actually. Some very, very impressive answers. Okay. Okay, I'm going to next
pass on to me.
Pass on to Craig for a 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Thank you, Duncan. Sometimes I wonder, kind of, lots of people sort of have this idea of whether sociology is a science or isn't a science, but I'll tell you what is a science: psychology. And then obviously at 6:30 tonight, there is a psychology revision session on Tutor to You. Let's just do a little bit of cross kind of promotion here. 6:30 this evening on YouTube, psychology. Just if you want to take part of that. I'm not part of it, but I'm just helping them out. Okay, so we're going to do 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Sorry?
I was just saying, is it a science though? But we won't start that. Right.
They will say they're a science.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
They will say they're a science. I think sociology. I don't want to be a science as a sociologist, but that's another matter. Okay, so we're going to go to our 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. On this, if we've done this 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 quite a few times. If you're new to this activity, what we do is we list 5 of something, 4 of something, 3 of something, 2 of something, and then 1 of something. You have 2 minutes to do that. This one is focused on the debate in sociology about whether sociology should inform social policy. So if we look at the 5 categories, please. So what I want you to do inside 2 minutes, while the funky music plays, is identify 5 policies that have influenced education, 4 policies that have impacted on family life, 3 reasons why sociology cannot inform social policy, 2 influences on social policy formation, 2 things that influence social policy, and 1 approach that favors the use of social policy. That's a lot of saying social policy.
It is. And I know there's some year 12 people here. The first couple of categories there's no reason why certainly if you do families as your optional topic, no reason why you can't come up with some for that, even if some of the later ones might be less familiar.
And it's also always useful to sort of know about the different policies that exist, because obviously you can apply them to that debate, particularly policies that have been informed by sociological thought. So iridescent youth has got the tripartite system for a policy and influenced education. Lack of measurement, I'm assuming, is that for reasons sociology cannot inform social policy? Yeah.
Could be, or it might be still back to science. Might be back to the last one, yeah.
Okay, education reform act, but national curriculum, because the coalition government, lots of educational policies coming through there. Equal pay act, okay, it's a good one. Meritocratic education system, yeah, we'd link that into a specific policy, particularly something like tripartite system. Neoliberalism, could that be a reason for number 3? Reason sociology can't inform social policy,
or it could be or an approach
that favours. Yeah,
maybe.
Usually neoliberalism is never the right answer to a question. so that's about society, but generally, hey, privatization of education. I'm not sure that's a policy.
I think your values are showing
that's my political.
That's another debate.
View, yeah. Family, same-sex marriage, okay, child protection. So the Children's Act is the one you're thinking about, or possibly child support agency.
I saw someone suggest
2 minutes.
Yeah, I saw someone suggest functionalism earlier as an approach that might favour the use of social policies.
That's an interesting one because
coming in.
Lots more acts coming in. The interesting one with functionalism, isn't it? Because it doesn't. Kind of some earlier ones do, some earlier ones don't. It's very much a yes, they do, but no, they don't. Approach functionalism. Let's look at 5 policies that have influenced education. Then there's lots in here. The ATA Education Reform Act, the tripartite system, introduction to student loans and fees, creation of Ofsted, British values, lots of different policies that we could have brought in there. I've just picked some of those. Obviously, the Education Reform Act introduces marketisation, tripartite system, sees education as being meritocratic by introducing the grammar school system. So an introduction to student loans and fees, obviously marketisation of education, and to a certain extent privatisation of education as well. Creation of Ofsted obviously links into the new right views of monitoring education and improving standards, and British values can be seen as a policy that reinforces social solidarity in education. Number 4, please. Okay, so the creation of the welfare state, which is obviously not just one policy, there's lots of different policies that go into that, but we can look at that, and some of that, is informed by sociological thinking. Working in child tax credits, particularly policies under New Labour, were very much informed by sociological thinking, going back to Mr. Giddens. The two-child benefit cap obviously links in very much into the New Right, and probably isn't sociologically formed whatsoever. And the Equality Act in 2010, alongside things like the Equal Pay Act, Sex Discrimination Act, lots of different acts that looked to tackle inequality in society. Number 3, please. Sure Start Centres be 1. Okay. Reasons why sociology cannot inform social policy. So I've put here clash of ideologies. So, for example, Boris Johnson and Rishi Sunak would not form policies that were influenced by Marxist theorists, for example, mainly because their ideologies are completely opposed. For anybody who's been watching the budget today, there's not a lot of Marxism in there, even though sort of people will say, oh, it's a socialist budget. No. Government by consent, the idea that the government needs milk snatcher, somebody's put in there. I'm saying nothing.
That's Maggie, isn't it?
Yeah, don't mention that. Right, okay. Government by consent, the idea that is the idea that sort of the government eventually has to answer to the people. So if they're putting forward policies, particularly sociological policies that aren't popular, they may not be returned at the ballot box. They may not be returned in the next general election, so they may not choose to do that. And the fact that a lot of sociology is based on small scale research, because obviously, again, sort of looking at this idea of government by consent, governments want policies that will have a huge impact on society, that will win them votes. And small-scale research on very niche groups tends to be less likely to be used to form social policy. Question number 2, please. Yeah, the role of TNCs and IGOs, particularly the pressure that TNCs put upon governments, and also the rules and regulations that things like the UK government are bound to as part of IGOs, international governmental organisations, that is. So, sort of like things like how the EU interfered in pretty much everything we did. Say nothing about Brexit. And think tanks as well. So like lots of think tanks are linked in with the government. I forget the name of the think tank that was associated with Ian Duncan Smith that put forward lots of ideas on austerity.
Centre for Social Justice, I think it's called.
Centre for Social Justice, which had no social justice whatsoever, really.
You're showing again, Craig.
I know, again, it's kind of a right-wing think tank, and therefore sort of like influenced a lot of the policy of the coalition and the Conservative governments from 2015 onwards. Coalition government, obviously, in 2010 to 2015. And finally, left realism and social democratic approaches, they tend to favour the use of sociology to inform social policy. Remember, realism is the idea that we try to find realistic solutions in sociology, and we try to come up with solutions to the problems. Okay, Duncan, I think that takes you to your next activity.
Absolutely.
Which is a little bit like, it's a bit like Countdown, this, isn't it?
It's a bit like it. I don't know if people have seen Only Connect. There's a round on that where they take the vowels out of key terms. So what we've got in here, we've got some key terms relating to our sociological theory. I've taken the vowels out because my keyboard doesn't work, and you need to work it out what it is. But if you could give an example of it or a definition of it in the chat window, as well as working out what it is. Lots of people have gone conflict theory, and they've given me some. Iridescent Youth Official has given me some examples as well. Marxist and feminist. Okay, very good. It is conflict theory. Isabel said Marxism. Says Bushra. Thank you. Brilliant. And feminism. Well done. Okay, so that one is conflict theory. Okay, next one. It might have been harder if you hadn't just seen the last one. I reckon this one you're going to get quite quickly, are you? Consensus through. What do we think? Consensus. Well done. Yeah, consensus theory. Can you give me an example? Maybe explain what it means in the chat window. Lots of people coming through with there. Yeah, functionalism. Well done. Functionalism is a good example. So there's a value consensus. There's one. Yeah. Okay.
It's absolutely nothing to do with the census, by the way.
No. No, it doesn't have anything.
Lots of people get that confused. Yeah.
Oh, now the next couple are a bit harder, a little bit philosophical, really, but you may have encountered it when you've been talking about sort of some of the more complicated bits of theory. So this one's tricky. I'm going to give you a clue that it starts with a vowel. So don't think of words starting with an with an N. Okay, it starts with a vowel. Any ideas? Has this one stumped you? Well done, Ellen, by the way, with your definition of consensus, and Daisy. Well done. Okay. Anyone works out this one? It is a trickier one than the last two. A good guess, Chelsea. Oh, well done, Maestro. Maestro's coming there. Ontology. Is anyone going to give us a definition, or what does it mean? Ontology. A few people got it in the end. Olivia as well. Other people getting close, but yeah, it is ontology. Ontology. Yeah. Well done, those of you who got ontology. Anyone want to suggest what it means? Yes, Kieran. What is that? That's what I'm asking. Not learned this. No, don't worry if you haven't. It is quite a complicated idea. Ontology. I think a few people are mixing it up with organic analogy. Yes, Bethany, well done. So it is about whether things really exist, whether things are. Okay, so it is about, any sort of study, any sort of research. Are you finding things? Are you looking for the truth? How do we, what? It's the philosophy of existence. Well done, Bethany. The fact that was the last one may help with the next one, which is another one that starts with a vowel. What topic does it come under? It is theory. It's quite complex theory and method stuff, this really. But you can, it does come into perhaps like the positivism versus interpretivism type debate and things like that. Okay, so this is another one that starts with a vowel. And it very much links with the last one. So those of you who got ontology may get this one. Well done, Amber. Epistemology. Well done, Megan. Okay, so quite a lot of them coming in with epistemology. Anyone want to suggest a definition for epistemology? So we got ontology is about existence, the study of existence. Epistemology is about, anyone go for it? I don't know whether the theory of knowledge. Yes, Bethany, it's how we know stuff. Yeah. So again, it's a philosophical idea. How do we know stuff? Oh, people are linking it to the sociology nicely there, Cheyenne. Well done. Yeah. Okay. So really good. So, what is there out there? Is the truth out there? Is the sort of ontology bit? And then the how do we know? How do we find it out? How do we know stuff? Is the kind of epistemology bit. Okay. It's quite tricky, complex stuff, but if you bring it into a theory answer, it's very impressive. Your teachers would like it. Okay, maybe have a Google of it, have a little read up about it. Okay, I think this is the last one of the missing vowels one, and it is a term that's come up earlier in the session. So I'm very much expecting people to be able to give me a beautiful definition of it because we talked about it earlier. Once we've worked out what it is. Structuration, Caitlin, well done. And yeah, lots of other people coming up with structuration there as well. Okay. What is structuration? And who came up with it? Whose theory is it? We mentioned it earlier, so this is recall from 15 minutes ago or so, 20 minutes ago or so. Okay, a mix between structural theory and social action theory. Yeah, the idea that it's not really one or the other, the two are inextricably linked. Yeah. And Giddens, well done, Emily. Yeah, absolutely. So some really good answers there. Well done. And don't worry if some of that's unfamiliar to you. Yeah. And is this me again? No, it's Craig. I'm going to hand back to Craig. And I think this is our last activity. So
it is our last activity. Yeah, just on the topic of epistemology, I had one of those once. It was a quick trip to the doctors, got removed, was back in work the same day. Okay, the big reveal, right? The big reveal looks at debates. What we're going to do is very slowly reveal different parts of the debate. and you will have to identify sort of like which debate this comes in as part of. So there's a number of different key debates in sociology, things like sociology as a science, stuff like that. The concepts you're going to see slowly, we are going to reveal them, and then we will, you need to identify the debate. So the first one is rationality. So what debates might rationality become part of?
Try and be the first to guess the debate correctly, and we'll give you
that's it.
We'll give you a round of applause. Don't worry if you've missed it, Louise. It'll be on.
Secularization. Secularization. What could that be part of a debate in? I think
it'll be on the
third one.
I think it is.
Risk society, right? Okay, let me see. Rationality, right? Realism, okay. Crime, religion. No, I'm talking about some of the big debates, like, sort of like sociology as science. Should sociology inform social policy? Things like that. Those type of debates.
K's put modernity.
Risk society, globalization. That's not a bad answer.
You're getting into the right sort of
more
area.
In that debate. Globalization, postmodernism. Okay, 3 is globalization. Simulacra, postmodernity, postmodernism. Yeah, so let's go through the answer.
You're definitely in the right area. What's the debate then? What's the debate about?
We've kind of named the different sides of the debate there, but we need to. What is the debate in sociology? It's not a sociologist. Ulrich Beck would be part of this. You're right. Risk society.
Absolutely, and you would talk about postmodernism.
Hyper-reality.
Great concept.
Let's reveal a debate. It's the idea of modernity and postmodernity. Are we there's Tony's just got it just as we come through there. Are we in a postmodern society? So your debate there is between modernity, late modernity, and postmodernity, and those terms all link into those. So rationality and secularization are part of modernity, risk society, late modernity, globalization, and simulacra are linked in with postmodernity. So really well done to the people who got that debate. Now you've got a better idea of what we do. Let's go to the second one. So another key debate in sociology, methodological preference. How might a sociologist's methodological preference, what debate might that be part of? Let's look at our second one. We've got some signs and symbols. A desire to be scientific. What kind of debate might this be part of? Interaction versus positivism is a good one.
That is a good
Sociology
suggestion.
as a science. Committed sociology. Key term there. Interaction versus positivism. A lot of people going for that. It's not quite the debate, but it's very close.
At the start, couldn't it? Yeah,
it could have been. The role of funding bodies. Sociology as a science or not? No, it's not that one. Well done, Abigail. Let's look at number 5. The role of social facts. Go on, Kate, put it in. You should know the debate. Abigail, well done.
Yeah, she's got it.
Yeah. Can sociology be value free? So these are some of the different kind of debates in that idea. Sort of like the idea of social facts. Yeah. The role of the funding bodies, committed sociology, desire to be scientific, and a methodological preference of the researcher. And our final debate for today, a theoretical preference. The purpose of the research. What is the purpose? What are the aims of the research? What is a sociologist looking to do? Number 3, a sociologist's personal values. Again, people go in interaction versus positivism. It's not that one.
Again, it all links, doesn't it? So
they all do link together, so it's good. Can sociology be objective? No. Overt versus covert. The time constraints that are placed on research. Covert and overt again. Let's look at our last one. Some of the issues in contemporary society. I'll give you a clue. This one links methods and topics. I think I've just given that away, haven't I?
So think research
ethical
methods.
Concerns.
Imagine this was a question on a research methods question, maybe.
Has anybody got it? This is a tough one, and I remember when this came out as an exam question about 5 years. There you go, Caitlin. Good, very close. It's the influences on the choice of topic and methods. I think it came out in about 2015. It is quite a difficult question. It's one to look at very, very closely if you were to get something like that. I remember reading that question and sort of like taking about 20 minutes to decipher it and what I had to do. But one of the questions you could potentially be asked is what influences a sociologist's choice of topic and choice of research method? So, for example, a theoretical preference, Marxists tend to focus on class, feminists will tend to focus on gender-related issues. The purpose of the research, is it to inform government social policy? Is it to actually observe a specific group? The sociologist's personal values, how much time they have to conduct the research, and some of the major issues in society. So, for example, at the moment, there's lots of research going on into the impacts of COVID, lots of research going on to the impacts of racism. There's lots of research going on to the onto debates over transgender issues, because they're all kind of, well, they are trending topics, if you like, and sociologists like to study contemporary issues. And that is that for today. We've run over a little bit, haven't we, today, Duncan?
A little bit. Yeah. Well done, everyone.
But,
I think it's really...
You're not going to get any overtime payments, Craig, for that one. I'll tell you what, though, it's possible. I don't know. There may have been a technical blooper just a few minutes in. I don't think anyone noticed. So well done for keeping on.
Got away with that one. I'm just glad it wasn't me that they showed on screen at that point.
Could have been worse. I could have disappeared for a cup of coffee, couldn't I? And not heard you.
We could have just had an empty office. Well, I thought some really great answers there, and it was, it was some complicated stuff there, some really high concept stuff, and I think people engaged with it really well. I was just going to say, if you enjoyed it, click thumbs up to say that you liked it. If you want to see when these are coming in future, and that might involve a change of time, we'll have a chat about that in terms of when you're back at school. Do click the notification button. So I think it's the little bell. Is it a bell? Yeah.
There's a bell.
Yeah. And if there are any ideas, we know what the next few topics are, but if you've got some suggestions that you'd like us to cover, do type them in as well, and we'll have a read.
Duncan, is it worth us just asking people to type into the chat their thoughts on timing? Because we are conscious that schools and colleges are going back from the start of next week. Some are being staggered a little bit in terms of when they go. We've got some options. We can either continue at this time, we can put it on a sort of 4:15, 5:15, 6:15 type slot. We've got a lunchtime slot, or we could do 3 o'clock in the morning when Craig's on fire. So it'd be really useful if you get a chance now to type it into the chat window as to what your preference might be, and then we'll try to take account of that as we get the next sessions lined up for next week and the weeks beyond.
Yeah, there's a question there. Will some of it still be year 12 stuff? Yeah, we'll do a mixture. I can't remember what we've got coming up next. I'll have a look. It'll be on the system. If you go onto the Tutor2U website under live, there's all the future events mapped out there, so you can have a look there and you can watch it there. I don't know if you haven't done, you can watch them from there as well. And this will be up there as a recording of it quite soon. Yeah,
and also I think in about 5 or 10 minutes, the replay of this on tutor2u.net/live will be there. Plus, we probably won't edit out the blooper, Duncan, because it's all part of proving we were live, isn't it? And also, you can download the slides. So lots of complex stuff in that session, so it might be useful for if you want to download those. That's probably Siri. Siri.
I don't know whose Siri that was, but I heard someone speaking. Yeah,
that definitely wasn't mine. Must be yours, Duncan. Fantastic. Well, that's another blooper for the tape. So looking at the chat window, it looks like maybe a sort of 4:15, 5:15, 6:15 type slot might be a good one. We'll try to keep them at half an hour, 30-35 minutes. So we'll try to keep them fairly short, but really useful some feedback there in the chat window. I don't think Craig mentioned it, that we've got A-level psychology starting their live sessions this evening at 6:30 on YouTube and Tutor2U. And they're starting with social influence. So if you're doing psychology, AQA psychology, social influence, that might be worth attending. And geography is at 4:30 this afternoon, so it's quite a busy day. But from all of us here, particularly Duncan and Craig, who've had a long day online teaching, thanks very much for joining us for this session. We always appreciate you joining us live, and hopefully we'll catch you on the next one. So thanks very much.
Thanks, guys. See you.
Bye.
See ya.